Whether we're on the road or checking our emails, we get asked technical questions all the time. Today we're going to answer a few and find out why Steele seems a bit anxious. All that and more today on TruckU. Still playing with the new toy, I see, huh?
Oh, hold on. Delete.
Yeah, I don't need to see that.
No, here's what I was doing was I was checking out some of the viewer mail. We get a lot of questions here, and they've been adding up, right? We've got a bunch of them. So I thought today might be a good day to, maybe answer a few of them. Just a thought.
Today it's all about you guys. What we're going to do is answer your viewer mail. Now, if you're not aware, we've got a section on our website called Ask the Host where you guys write into us and we answer your questions. The problem is we've been a little bit busy here at the shop working.
That's right.
Not playing, and we haven't had a chance to get back to some of you guys. So today it's all about you. Now, one of the things we've seen with some of the viewer mail here is the fact that there's a resounding theme. Guys with newer trucks, and they're looking for better airflow, whether it's for more mileage, more power, or just better sound. It all goes back to that same common thread.
And you're talking about newer trucks, and we've got one in the shop today. This is a 2010 Silverado. Nice looking truck, and it actually ties into one of the questions that we've got here, and that comes from Mike. Mike says, I want to do a header upgrade on my truck. Do you guys have any tips that can make that job a little bit easier?
Well, before we can do a header upgrade, we have to remove the factory exhaust manifold. Now, we've got the truck up in the air and we're halfway through the process. As you can see, we took off the inner fender and we took off the exhaust on the back side, but we need to remove that exhaust manifold. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would you take off a brand new part that doesn't have any holes in it or isn't cracked or damaged? Right. Well, it all comes down to airflow. These factory exhaust manifolds most often are stamped or they're cast. In this situation, they're cast, and they don't have good flow characteristics. There's a lot of restrictions in the way, and they're quite bulky and heavy. So if we remove this, we're going to get better airflow.
Sure. The headers actually have a more tubular design, and they're lighter, they're less bulky. So you think about it, they're all doing the same job. It's just one method is a lot better, right? Now, here's another good idea for when you're taking off this stock manifold. We like to pull the spark plugs all out first. You can see right in there, right below where Bruno's taking that bolt out, there's the hole where the spark plug was. So that plug's sticking out. There's a little bit of a protrusion. Now, most times you don't have overabundance of room in there, right? You're kind of moving things around and pulling it down and moving it over to the left or right. And if the plugs are sticking out, you're getting hung up on them potentially. And then if you get frustrated and try to jerk that thing out of there, you could shear one of those things off and break the spark plugs. And if you do that, well, then you've got even more problems.
Yeah, one thing you want to keep in mind if you take the plugs out of the way is you have an open hole now to your engine.
Right.
And things like header bolts can fall right in there, and if they do, well, that's a completely different show. Matt, why don't you get underneath there and catch this as this thing comes down?
All right, so be careful with that stuff.
Remember, it's heavy. You ready?
Yeah, I got it.
There you go.
Here we can take a good look at what we were just talking about a couple of seconds ago with the better flow and less resistance. And you take a look at this. Here's the stock manifold right there. So all of this exhaust is coming in here and it's getting crammed in right here. It's all meeting up and getting choked into right here. It's creating a little bit of back pressure potentially right there. You can have all sorts of problems. Now what we do is basically from the exhaust port side, you want that to get further away to where it meets up in the collector right here. This way, everything's getting a chance to get around those corners and travel a little bit before it gets all crammed up. Think about it like traffic, okay? So here, we've got 4 lanes of traffic that are all merging into one, and you've got about 50 feet to do it. There's gonna be accidents all over the place. It's gonna be a lot of problem. Now over here, we've got 4 lanes of traffic all merging into one, but they've got like a half a mile. So everybody's getting up to speed and getting on the on-ramp, and everybody's getting down the highway nice and safe. So Bruno, you ready?
1 second, Matt. Before we can put the header in, we need to go ahead and actually change out the bolt going into our steering shaft. Now, it comes in the kit, and it's a little bit shorter bolt, and it's got a button head Allen on the end of it. The idea is it gives us more clearance, so that header is going to stick out a little bit farther than the stock exhaust manifold. This way we won't have any issues where we hit.
There we go. that for you. So welcome back. We've got our Dynatech headers in place, and now what we're doing is basically just starting on the system from front to the back and working our way towards the back of the truck. Everything's going along nice and smooth, and you good?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
All right, now we can take a look at the stock configuration that we had. That's what we took out. 3 catalytic converters. The new system's gonna have 2. All day we've been talking about it, better flow and less restriction, and we're gonna have better flow and less restriction because we're not going through as many catalytic converters. So that's one good point.
Right, and it leads us to our next question from our viewer. Now it comes down to Jim, and he's asking us, when upgrading to a new exhaust, what do I do about the O2 sensor? Well, first of all, you want to be careful with them because they're part of the ECU, so you don't want to damage them. The second thing is when you take them off the original system, you want to label them because there's a sequence they go in. You see there's 2 O2 sensors on either side, one before and one after the catalytic converter, and they have to go back in that same sequence. So if you look at the converter right here, on this one you've got a bung on this side and the other one's on the tailpipe. On this one, they're both of them on the converter and just past it. So they want to go back in the same sequence, and they want to stay left to left and right to right. It's very important, otherwise you're going to send mixed signals to your ECU, and that's going to cause a lot of problems.
Most importantly, don't throw them away. And this is going to be your best friend, this deep socket with the slot right there. So when you take a look, when you're putting this in there, the socket's going to help you get it in nice and easy, and that slot is going to go over the wire and let you get down on it right like that. Then you can turn it and tighten it and do what you need to do. If you didn't have that slot on there, you'd just be cramming it over that wire, and that would be a mess, and these things are not cheap.
Also, the kit's going to come with little extensions like this because depending on your application, those O2 sensors are located on different spots. So this way you'll have enough room to put them back in place.
All right, well, let's get the other side in and start tying this stuff up.
All right.
Good?
Yes.
Now we are ready to start laying in this split rear dual exhaust from Heartthrob. This particular kit will fit the 2009 and 2010 GMs that are running the 4.8s, the 5.3s, or the 6.0s.
Now I've always had a lot of luck working with the guys at Heartthrob. One thing you can always count on is an increase in flow, which is going to be more power and a better sound. And this kit's the same. Now all the tubing you get from Heartthrob exhaust has aluminized steel, which means it won't corrode over time. And it has features like mandrel bends. Now one of the other things from the original to this upgrade is the fact that you're using bigger tubes. Now the inlet going to the muffler is an increase in size from 2 3/4 to 3 inches, so that's going to help out our flow numbers alone. The magic happens outside of the muffler itself, where we're splitting to 2 2.5-inch pipes versus the single 1 2.5-inch pipe on the original configuration.
Sure, and that's going to accomplish a couple different things. First of all, the sound. You know, when you take off, it's still going to have that good aggressive sound. It's going to sound nice and mean. But when you're cruising down the road and you're relaxing, it's going to be nice and quiet, and that's what you want. Especially, you know, because all the sound is getting split up between the 2 pipes, so it's all going out there and getting split up, giving you that good sound. Now, muffler goes up here, and I'll try to get this in place.
Okay, well, putting it in place, you'll notice that the hangers all come with the kits, and one of the cool features about these hangers is the fact that they're not welded onto the tubing itself for 2 reasons. One, it gives you some flexibility. You can slide these back and forth, up and down, and it helps you in your install. The other thing is when you weld onto the tubing itself or the muffler, you put a lot of heat in, which takes away the coating, which causes corrosion. You don't have to worry about that when you work with Heartthrob. Well, our Heartthrob exhaust is all laid out, and one thing you'll notice about the tailpipes in the back is the fact that they extend a little bit beyond the back of the truck, and that's done for a reason because this is universal kit. They want to err on the side of caution and make sure that the gases get out from underneath the truck. So what you can do is cut these off to make them shorter if you want, or you can customize the tips by putting a cool little cut on the end, or spend a few extra bucks for Heartthrob and get either stainless or chrome tips. You've got a couple different options.
Yeah, it all came together very nice. Now, one of the things you really want to keep in mind when you're going to a dual exhaust from a single is the factory didn't lay everything out for a dual exhaust. So there's different lines and everything, and little things like right here, we've got these brake lines, all right? And they're real close to the exhaust right there. So we want to move them out a little bit. And they all tie into this bracket right here. All these brake lines hit that, and we can actually just put a wrench on this and bend it out nice and slow, and nothing's going to break. It'll all stay fine, but that'll hook the lines out to about here and give us plenty of clearance right there. So that's just one more thing you want to keep in mind when you're going from a single to a dual exhaust.
Now that the exhaust is all set, I say we get out of the shop and head over to the lab.
All right, I got to find my lab coat. Have you seen it?
No.
Today in the lab, we want to take a look at carbon deposits that can happen inside your engine, more specifically on the valves.
So what we've got here is a set of valves that we're going through a very extreme test, 40 continuous hours of 290 degrees, and it's obvious you can see the difference between the valves that were treated with Z-Max and the valves that weren't.
Yeah, these are the intake valves right here, and really where you want to be looking is down here on the stem. This one was treated with Z-Max here, and this one was not. And you can see the deposits right there building up on that stem, and it's going to make the air a lot more turbulent as it's flowing through there. Think about it like the air is traveling down a bumpy dirt road or something.
Yeah, that's not what you want to have going on inside your combustion chamber. So these are the exhaust valves here, and you can see that it's much more extreme, the carbon buildup, because you have a lot higher temperatures on the exhaust valves themselves. So this one, the carbon buildup goes all the way up the valve stem, and the one with Z-Max stops way short.
The reason it stops there is because of microlubrication, and the Z-Max actually soaks into the metal and lubricates it from the inside out. So realistically, the carbon and the carbon deposits have nothing to stick to.
So as you can see, the Z-Max is cleaning the carbon off of the engine components, and it's maintaining a clean component for the duration of the engine.
And this experiment is done. Welcome back to TruckU. So we've got the heartthrob exhaust fully installed. That is ready to go, and that's going to be a very nice addition to this truck. You know, today we're talking about flow right now, and that really leads into the next question that we had. So this one comes from, let me find it, from Jeremy. Hey guys, big fan. I always hear the term mandrel bent when it comes to exhaust. What exactly does that mean, and why is it important? Good question.
Now, Jeremy, you're right. It is thrown around a lot, and what it's referring to is the process of bending the exhaust tube. Now, this is a mandrel bent tubing, and what it basically is there's a mandrel in order to bend it, it's pulled over that mandrel to form the angles you're looking for. So this is what you see right here. It's a nice smooth bend. You don't have any kind of pinching or any shrinking of the tube. Now, this is an example if you went down to your muffler shop and had a piece of tubing bent. Now you can see that you've got a restriction in the bend, about 10% it shrinks the tube down. So you've got a 3-inch here down to a 2.5-inch, and that's going to cause a flow problem. You'll get a restriction as the flow goes through it. Now you'll also see the pinch points here where the ram is forced into it to make that bend. So you're actually pinching it down to get the bend you're looking for, and that's going to cause turbulence of the air as the air goes through that tube.
Sure, another thing with these points is the fact that if there's any moisture at all in this system going through there, that's where the moisture is going to hang out and live. So if this is going to corrode out, it's going to happen right there in the corner, right where those points are.
Now that's the advantage to the mandrel bend. You don't have any of that. There's no pinching of the tube. There's no pinch points. It maintains that diameter throughout the length of the tube with a great amount of airflow through it and no turbulence.
So the guys at Heartthrob, what they'll do is they'll bring stock trucks in to the factory there, right? And they'll run a CFM test on them. That is a cubic foot per minute. It's a flow test to see what kind of flow they're getting through the systems. So the stock system on this truck was at 227 CFM. Their goal is to increase that and get better flow.
Now, what they always aim for is a 10% increase, and that's exactly what they got with this truck. Their testing showed to have 250 CFM, which is going to give them what they're looking for, so it's going to give you better flow. Also, it's going to give you much better sound because this exhaust system removes that bad drone you get when you go from 8 cylinders down to 4 cylinders. So not only will it give you a better sound, it'll give you better airflow and overall better ride.
So, Jeremy, that's the 10-cent tour of mandrel bending, and that is what it is and why it is important. So, on the subject of flow, though, I think there's another part of the truck that we can pay some attention to.
I think you're right.
So our next question comes from Larry M. He says, I've got this brand new truck, and he wants to step up the looks and the performance. Hey Larry, one of the best and easiest things you can do is install one of these high flow intake systems like the one we're installing from K&N Engineering. You know, it's a really easy thing to do, and independent laboratory tests have shown horsepower gains from 10 up to 17 horsepower, which is very impressive when it's this easy. You know?
Yeah, when you talk about how easy it is to get the horsepower, you really can't beat it. And what you need to do is simply take out this old system with a few hose clamps and a couple clips. All this comes out and the new system goes in. One thing you want to keep in mind is you got this mass air sense. You want to be careful not to damage it. It simply unplugs, and then we'll unscrew it and mount it on the new one. So this was going to be an integral part, so don't mess it up when you take this old system out.
This takes up so much less space, and it goes in literally in just minutes. And you check out that filter right there. That's a lifetime filter with a 1,000,000-mile warranty.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. And with over 500 systems available, K&N Engineering has a high-performance intake for just about any application. Yeah. I'm going to finish tightening up this clamp, and I think we are done with this.
All right. Welcome back to TruckU. You know, the guys at Duplicolor are constantly coming up with new ideas and new products in an effort to make painting projects easier for you and I, and we love that. And this is one of their newest ideas right here. It's the Duplicolor Perfect Match Premium Automotive Paint.
Now, it's great because it's easy to use, it's high quality, and it's fast drying. And it's an acrylic lacquer that's specifically designed to match the OEM paint on your vehicle. So they've got a complete line of this for any current or late model vehicles, and it's for a domestic or an import. So if you've got to do some small touch-up work or you want to color match an accessory, this is the way to go.
Yeah, you look at your color code, your paint code on the vehicle, which is most of the time it's right inside the door. You just open it up, you find the white sticker, you get your color code, you match it up with that on the back of the cap. That way you know you're getting exactly what you need to get. So you can fix it up, and then when you get your color matched, you can hit it with the clear coat, and it looks just like it did when it came from the factory. It's the Duplicolor Perfect Match Premium Automotive Paint. A common issue that a lot of people have, especially if you have the plastic headlight lens, is the fact that they get yellowed up, you know, with exposure to the elements. And a lot of people will just neglect it and let it go. And that's not a good thing because it's an easy thing to fix. And you can do it with this. It's the Headlight Lens Restorer from Blue Magic.
Now, not only does it look unattractive on your vehicle to have smoked over or yellowed headlight lenses, but it's a safety issue. And that's what it boils down to, because you could have the strongest xenon light bulb behind that covered over lens, and you're not going to be able to see going down the road. It's an issue for you and for everybody else out there. So what the Headlight Lens Restorer will do is restore optical clarity, and it'll prevent re-yellowing.
And there are no special tools required. It's the Headlight Lens Restorer from Blue Magic. Now this is the steering flip kit for the JKs from Clayton Off-Road. Basically what it's designed to do is work with any 3 to 5 inch kit. So this is where it all ties into the steering, and then it ties into the axle down here on this. So as the Jeep raises up, it screws up your geometry, and that can lead to bump steer. And that's what this kit is designed to fix, because basically it's going to allow you to flip it over and get back to that factory geometry for a good, comfortable ride.
Now, not only will it help with the geometry, it's also going to help beef up the front suspension by adding this track bar mount kit. So that this will bolt right over your existing 1/4 inch tabs up front, so it's going to strengthen up the whole front of your suspension. You bolt this in place, welded on, and your Jeep will be ready to handle the beating you want to put to it.
Exactly. It's this JK steering flip kit from Clayton Off-Road. LMC Truck has virtually every piece and part for domestic trucks, in some cases going back to the 1940s. I mean, anything you could imagine. Today, we want to take a look at this custom chrome grille. And you can see on this particular truck that we installed it on, what a difference this made. It looks great.
Yeah, it really brings it to life. Now, it's what I think is a perfect blend of OEM and custom styling for your 81 through 87 Chevy or GMC truck, whether you're talking about a Jimmy or a Blazer or a Suburban. It really classes up the front of the vehicle. Now, this thing is an all-plastic design. It's all chrome, and it's injection molded. What that means is you don't have to worry about bent bars or a dull finish or cumbersome brackets. It simply bolts right into place.
Yeah, LMC Truck has got these great catalogs. They're free. They've got exploded diagrams, directions, everything that you would need. You can order them from the catalog, or you can go to their website and order it, and they ship it right to your door.
Now, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue checking out your viewer mail.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speed.com or visit our website at truckutv.com.
Now today it's been all about increasing the airflow on this GM truck, and we did that a number of different ways. First of all, we put on a new K&N Engineering air intake system that's specific for the 09 to 11 trucks, so we're covered there. Put on a new set of headers and a new heartthrob exhaust system, so we've got more airflow coming in and better airflow coming out, so that's really going to hop this truck up and save us when it comes to the gas pump. One last thing we want to do to this thing, though, is give it a little more power, and what better way to do it than with a new programmer. Now, this one from Diablo Sport is called the Trinity, and it's pretty sophisticated. You can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. Now, first things first, let's talk about performance, because that's what we're looking for here. So you click on the little performance button, and it's got some different tune-ups already pre-calibrated in it. Now, you can go online and download them for free. All the upgrades are free, which is nice, but we're basing this thing off of trying to get the best fuel mileage possible and get power. So we've got an 87 octane tune. You click on it, hit choose, go through the menu here, and simply hit the button to install the tune-up. So that's going to give us the most bang for our buck based off the fuel you're going to put in the truck. Now you go back to the main menu screen, you've got a bunch of different options what you can do here in terms of monitoring. This thing has a complete gauge pack setup inside of it, so you can monitor things like engine RPM. There's all different cool dash settings. Now this Diablo Sport Trinity is good for all different types of models of trucks going back to 1999 to 2011, whether it's a Ford, GM, Chevy, or Chrysler. This one part number covers them all. Now there's one last thing I want to show you guys. The best part about this little programmer is the racing mode. And it's time to drag race. And this is a drag race simulator which is built into it, so of course we got to play with that. Now you hit the drag tree here, the lights are going to come down in sequence as they always do, and I'd be perfect on the tree if I was actually running this because that's how I roll. It gives you your laps time and your mile per hour over the quarter of a mile, so it gives you some bragging rights. You can have some fun with this thing, and you can monitor your truck at all times and pick up some power. So all in one in this little Diablo Sport Trinity, this thing is a really fun little toy. All right, so today is all about answering viewer mail and giving them what they want. And
Exactly.
you're on board with that, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I really think you're going to enjoy this question as much as I did.
All right.
My wife told me, and this is Brody writing in, saying that he saw you with the same haircut back in 1990, back at a truck event. And they're both wondering if they can expect to see a change anytime soon. And this is the best part, with a ... please, exclamation point, question mark.
Shenanigans.
Meaning it needs to go.
Fake question. Brody, Bruno, all too similar. You don't even have the iPod.
Well,
right?
because
Or the
it's
iPad.
yours.
Well, okay. And the wife asked the question? Come on, the wives love the hair, B.
Maybe back in the day you were single, that worked for you, but you know, times have changed, buddy.
Stuff
You need to
is
get
money.
on with
Money.
yourself. Move up, buddy.
Oh, do you want me to cut it short?
I want you to do something.
I can rock the short hair. It's no big deal, right?
I think you pull it off. It's time.
All right. For you, though, I mean, come on. It's like the pot calling the kettle bleach blonde.
This looks great, but I love your hair.
Really? Thank you very much.
It's cut so perfect, so smooth.
Well, you know it's razor cut. I'm not lying or trying to be crazy or anything, but my hair looks good in this jacket.
Really? You make yeah. it does.
Seriously, the hair makes this jacket.
You got to do the Velcro flap though.
Sure, and I think the real victims here are all the children around the world who have, you know, within the last couple of years gotten the Matt Steele haircut. I mean, what are they going to do?